Blessings and welcome to the path to freedom, this beautiful path where we get to set ourselves free, as the name implies, free to soar, free to be in ever expanding love and joy and peace and harmony, freedom to forever allow for greater and grander expressions of who and what we are to emerge. Also, freedom from fear, worry, doubt, a sense of not being enough, a sense of not having enough, a sense of lack, scarcity, separation, so that we forever raise our vibration and forever allow for ourselves to move into ever expanding consciousness. So the topic for today is transformation is messy. Transformation is messy. And this, of course, has to do with what it means to be walking this path. As we are continuously turning our attention toward more what we wish to experience, as we are making ourselves open and available for those beautiful intentions, our heart's desires, the highest possibilities for our lives to emerge, for that to happen, for us to allow and midwife the next and the next and the next and the next great and grand version of who and what we are to emerge, for that to happen, we need to let stuff go. We need to get rid of something. And what it is that we're letting go, what it is that we're releasing, and all of this work that we're doing, it is about us releasing and letting go of something. This is not about us adding anything onto ourselves, because we already are all that we will ever be. Inherently, everything, the highest possibility for each and every single one of our lives is inherent within us. It is encoded onto the grain of our soul, onto the truth and the essence of who and what we are. So what we're doing is merely releasing and letting go of that which is covering up, that which is obscuring the light that we are, the peace that we are, the wholeness that we are, the abundance that we are, the beauty that we are, so that more of that may be revealed, may be expressed. And this is messy sometimes. As we, from time to time, we're making quantum leaps, or we're taking quantum leaps, which simply means that we are going from one place to another, from one level to another, without really going through the spaces in between. And when for that to happen, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be released and let go of. So as we're walking this path, from time to time, we will be moving into spaces where it may seem, it may feel as though our whole lives are crumbling, as though every structure in our lives is being resolved or dissolved. Not resolved, but dissolved. It is messy as heck sometimes. What we used to be, we no longer are, but still who we are becoming has not yet emerged. So there's a space where there's a lot of turbulence, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of fear and worry and doubt as to what is happening, as to how things are going to work out, how we're going to find our way out of this mess. And in these spaces, when the messiness hits, we are wise, as we have been exploring quite a bit, we're wise to always trust that even in the midst of this, even in the midst of this messiness, even in the midst of this crumbling, the dissolution of what our lives used to be. Even in the midst of this, all is well. Even in the midst of this, something wonderful is happening. Even in the midst of this, everything is working for the highest good. Simply because even in the midst of this, right here, right now, in every now, God still is all there is. This loving presence is all there is. This loving presence still is benevolent. It is good, always for itself. And this loving presence that is always for itself is still expressing itself perfectly. And when we know that, moving through these spaces, and sometimes they're called chemicalization, sometimes they're called the dark night of the soul, but whatever we call it, what we can trust, what we can absolutely trust is that the darker they get, the messier they get, the more turbulent they get, when we emerge on the other side, which we will, nothing lasts forever. God is always good. God is all there is. God is always expressing itself perfectly. So we will emerge on the other side. And when we do, we have been relieved of so much that no longer serves. Like there's this one individual that I had the privilege of working with. This is a number of years ago. And this individual, for a long, long time, they were articulating the life that they wanted to live. They were articulating how they wanted to show up in life, what they wanted their lives to be about. Now, they were not living that life yet, but they were living a different kind of life that was not in integrity, that was not in alignment with their soul's calling, with what they had caught as their mission here on this planet. And then, what seemed to be out of the blue, things began to fall apart. The life that they had been living began to dissolve, like overnight. And for a period of time, there was so much confusion, there was so much turbulence within this individual. Everything that they thought they knew about their life, the life that they had built over the period of their life, it was all crumbling. It was all crumbling. And we were having conversations as to what the good that was emerging was. We were having conversations around the presence of spirit, this loving presence that is always here, and how every single challenge is a gift and a blessing of transformation, how every single challenge is like a stepping stone or a springboard, allowing us, inviting us, calling us to release and let go where we are, to leave who and what we are behind, to leap onto a new level, a new expression, a new iteration of who and what we are. And gradually, over time, this individual began to realize, as we were having these conversations, this individual began to realize that this that was happening, this messiness, this was a beautiful demonstration of how their prayers were being answered. They did not want this life. Now, seeing it dissolve in front of their eyes, experiencing the fear of not knowing how to provide for themselves, how to provide for their family, how to move in the world, who they were in the world. I mean, all of these things came up. A lot of fears moving into the unknown, not knowing what the unknown was, not knowing how to navigate through this space. So a lot of fear came up. But in the midst of that, they began to realize that this that was happening, this was God, Spirit, this loving presence rearranging their life in accordance in alignment with the prayers that they had been saying, for the work that they had been doing over quite a long period of time. And we also are very wise to realize and to understand and to know and feel that everything that happens is a preparation for us, is us being prepared to allow for that next great and grand version of who and what we are. And I absolutely love the analogy of the caterpillar moving into the cocoon, going through the metamorphosis, emerging as a butterfly. Now, the caterpillar, first of all, there are so many gems in this analogy, but the caterpillar, it does not feel or become aware of this instinctive pull to go into, or I would imagine that it creates the cocoon, the chrysalis, in some way, shape, or form. But it does not have that impulse. It does not have that instinct until it is fully ready. Whatever that means for the caterpillar, until it is mature enough, until it is what it needs to be to withstand or to survive or to move through the metamorphosis. It does not have that impulse until that very moment. So we can rest assured in every single moment that this loving presence that is omniscient, that sees all and knows all, that sees all and knows all, that is always for itself, and thus it knows exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and how it needs to happen for every single possibility and for the highest possibility for each and every single one of our lives. And it designs, it orchestrates, it guides, it leads, it moves, it sources, fuels, and funds every single one of us so that the highest expression of who and what we are may come forth, may be birthed, may be revealed, may be expressed, because that's the only way. That is the only way that spirit may come into its greatest and grandest expression of itself. And that's the whole purpose of life. That is the sole purpose of all of life, all of creation, that God may know more of itself, or that God may reveal more of itself, or express more of itself. Not become more, but reveal more of that which already is. So every single one of us are moved in that direction. We can resist it, we can deny it, we can take detours, we can exercise our free will and go more along the lines of my will be done than thy will be done. But ultimately, as that old expression goes, all roads lead to Rome. All roads, every single one of our paths, lead to this awakening, to this expansion, to this progression. So we can rest assured that we are in every single moment provided for. And this individual that I was referring to, as they emerged on the other side, they could so clearly see this. They could not quite see it in the midst of it, even though they sort of became aware of this being answered prayer. They could not really feel into it. It was still messy. It was still turbulent. It was still a lot of fear and worry and doubt, because there were a lot of question marks. There were a lot of things that were not clear. The path that they were to walk, how they were to navigate through this mess, it wasn't quite clear to them. But once they had emerged, it became very clear to them that this was such a blessing for them to move through this space. And I've been moving through this space a number of times, and it is messy. Transformation is messy. It is not all about smiles. It is not all about feeling good all of the time, because that's not how it works. That is not how it works. And as we're moving along this beautiful path of freedom or awakening or spiritual enlightenment or whatever we want to call it, As we're moving along this path, oftentimes not feeling good is actually good in progress. Those moments when I actually had this morning. I woke up feeling off, not at all in tune with my soul, not at all in tune with the spirit, but off, just off. I know from experience, that something is being released. I'm moving through a space of growing, of expanding. So I don't pay much attention to it. I am aware of it, but I don't let it bother me. I don't let it run me to the same extent that I used to. When I used to want to know what exactly was going on. If I'm not feeling good, it must mean that something is wrong. It must mean that something needs to be corrected. I know now that that's not the case. The caterpillar is actually literally dissolving in that cocoon as it goes through the metamorphosis. I'm betting that that's not at all pleasant. I'm betting that that is not at all feeling good to the caterpillar. And yet it surrenders instinctively. We get to consciously surrender. We get to consciously release and let go of our resistance, our judgments, our opinions about that which is, so that the new may emerge. But the caterpillar, I would imagine, instinctively surrenders. And the rewards, well, the beauty of the butterfly speaks for itself. And I'm not saying that the butterfly is better than the caterpillar, but it is certainly an expanded expression of the beauty that God is from the caterpillar. So transformation is messy. We need to die to our littleness over and over. And I'm actually reminded of a quote that Eckhart Tolle, that I just read from Eckhart Tolle, or by Eckhart Tolle, where he said that what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, we call a butterfly. So we need to come to the end of our world, and we do get to come to the end of our world over and over and over again. But the end of the world, it's not nice. It's not all that smooth, but it is turbulent. It is messy. It is as it is, and it is good. It is good. All is still well. Something wonderful is still happening. Everything is still good. Simply because God is still here. God is still all there is. God is still benevolent. Spirit is still expressing itself perfectly. Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating, for joining me in this moment of expanding our consciousness, lifting our vibration. Until we meet again, I bless our days, and I bless our ways, in the full knowing that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good, even when it is messy. Much love, many blessings. Namaste.